Hi, everybody. I am Dr. Ramona, and I am here with my sister, Dr. Renee. And this week, we are doing week 8 of our pineal gland inspired journal. Our theme this week is one move, one motion.
Yeah. So we're going to go through our process. We're going to talk a little bit about our experiences and if we had any physical or emotional or mystical changes that would be of note that we want to mention. Get to it. Okay, so let's get going. Process. I did do one thing differently. As mentioned last time, I was only doing 8 tracks. That's about 40 minutes. But I decided to choose a different set of tracks just to keep myself from knowing exactly where I was. It's just an effort to think less and just allow. So I also thought that maybe I'll just, during the gamma sprites, they usually just start overwhelming and it feels so great to just fall back and relax. But maybe I'll just try to keep the spine straight for a while and see if I can feel a difference of the energy flowing down the spine and down into my feet. Just an experiment on my part. What about you?
I'm still doing my initial Kriya, and then I'm moving on to that heart-centered meditation that I do to create coherence. And then I'm doing the PG practice, which is the point of everything that we've got going. Following that, I do a little bit of oming, and then what I've begun calling this ANS integration time, where we take everything that we've done and allow our bodies to integrate the new information in whatever shape or way that happens. So that's my process.
What are your intentions?
For me, it was just to relax and allow. Finding that learning to relax, learning to allow is a process that takes time and that will evolve and goes deeper and deeper every week that I engage with the PG practice.
And this time, because of the idea of just sitting up straight and just feeling, I've decided that part of my intention is to see if I can deepen my ability to observe what's happening to the energy as it wafts through the body. Experiences. I do feel like that the gamma sprites at week 8 are becoming a little bit longer, and the white is a bit brighter and the yellow is a bit more organic, more stretched out.
Wow.
It all still feels really great. That hasn't changed, and I'm really glad that hasn't changed. In fact, it gets me up between 2 and 3 every morning because you know that you're going to be feeling so good. So that helps. There was a lot of pollen in the air here this week, and it weighed down my sinuses. It made everything take a little bit longer before the gamma sprites started to hit.
And I could say that's true. I was feeling that sense of occlusion in my practice as well. Primarily, what are we doing? We're doing nothing but breathing techniques. Pranayama is a breathing technique. I could say also I experienced a slowing of responsivity as a result of that.
Okay, that's good to know. Somewhere in the middle of the week, maybe Wednesday, while I was doing the energy wafted straight down my spine and into my left leg and out my left toe. And it was like this acute point of pain, and then it disappeared.
Really?
And it woke me up. What was that? But then it was gone. It didn't happen more than once. It made me think about what reflexologists say about the left toe, and that it's all about being open to possibilities, pituitary gland effect. It's circumstantial evidence that the process is working its way through all of the cells, all of the vessels, all the meridians in the body. The body is complex, and it's going to take some time for all of this gamma sprite action to reach all aspects of the body. So that's how I was interpreting it. Do you think that's on par?
And while it wasn't my toe, it was my thumb.
Oh.
And yes, the left thumb in the center and stabbing pain. Yeah, don't laugh, because it wasn't just once. I'm sitting there breathing, occluded, pollen, breathing, and then suddenly stab. And I'm thinking, what is that? Because it was so intense and immediate that it really took me right out of my rhythm. And I thought, wow, that's, painful. And I hope it doesn't happen again. And then it happened again. So, and again, and if what you're saying, and I find that really interesting, that it could be a way of the frequencies that we're aligning with in the 5D coming into the body and
running up against, clearing low frequency spaces and densities that don't need to be there.
Yeah, don't need to be there. So now I have energy streaming out of my thumb. But it's just really interesting because obviously we are all a product of our traumas, our experiences, good ones and bad, but they tend to create a biology for each of us, right? We have a certain way of being. And when we've had traumas in our lives, like I know you've had, like I've had, those can create subtle blocks that now that we've been doing this for 8 weeks are becoming more evident.
They're starting to be revealed. The cells start to be able to handle some of that higher frequency energy. And I guess that's the whole idea. We're cleansing the body and getting it ready to completely transfigure.
Yeah, we're creating that bridge. That's what the PG practice is doing. It's a breathing technique that allows our pineal gland to become that antenna, that frequency transducer that allows more and more of who we are to be emanated as a 5D being as opposed to a 3D being. But in order to be a 5D being, we need to have a clearer body.
I think that's something that we do when we're doing healing touch. The process is to get into coherence with the client. And because we're at a higher frequency, we can then become the medium through which the energy is transmitted into the client to reduce or remove areas of chronic pain. For example, I had a client who had some significant bone-on-bone knee problems, but after several treatments, the pain, just like our pain, just now your finger pain, my toe pain, just disappeared. Now the bone-on-bone didn't go away, but the frequency that was transmitted through me to the client, into the client's cells around the knee, changed her perception of the pain, created a buffer of distance from the pain, and essentially told the cells, hey, I got the message. We know there's something going on here that needs to be fixed, that needs to be energized and changed. And healing touch does that really, just a few sessions and no more knee pain. That's wonderful.
I don't know how many years ago it was now, but we were at a retreat where we were doing exchange healings, and a lady walked in with a cane because she had such incredibly bad knees. And I worked with her, and 4 days later, worked about an hour and a half each day. And by day 2, she wasn't using that cane anymore. So it's very interesting that we can be infused with energy, just like we're doing for ourselves as we're changing our body chemistry, biochemistry, biophysiology through the PG practice to improve our own health. It's like creating an entanglement in a way.
Yeah, a very close entanglement, even though physics tells us we're all really entangled as it is. But when you put intention behind it, it really just manifests that relationship more deeply. For the rest of the week, I had good, not that the pollen went away, but I did have a chance and an ability to get those gamma sprites moving. And they did appear, as I said at the beginning, to just last a little bit longer than they normally do. They're really up in the side of my head over here. I think that's probably my experience for this week. How about yourself?
I'm feeling the energy coming through the ground up into the cerebrospinal fluid, and it's like palpable. And I truly, strongly believe more and more that pranayama is a really good way of warming us up. And I highly recommend that we continue to do that even post these 12 weeks. Being at the pump really helps to create that magnetic attraction that the PG gland, PG is supposed to be creating. And in that vein, I don't know when it exactly occurred to me, but I thought moving up and down is wonderful. But I thought, why don't I incorporate a sacred symbol in that pranayama? Meaning for me, that double helix going up and coming down. What I was trying to visually do is to allow myself to visualize that DNA strand moving through each and every chakra on the way to number 6, on the way to the third eye, on the way to the pineal gland. And
You could also think of it as the Ida and the Pingala coming up the Sushumna as it goes up into the 6th chakra. I never thought of that. Yes, it looks like the DNA, but it's also the Ida and the Pingala coming up around the Sushumna all the way up the spine into the 6th chakra and activating the pineal gland. Either way, it's just the flow of how energy is coming up in and around the spine.
yeah, I like that. I thought that I would try doing that. I was not doing much of the mudra positioning this week at all. But again, that's because I wasn't feeling that particular need in order to get the effect that I needed. Okay. That's where I'm at. I'm feeling that pressure building up, and it's becoming recognizable to me.
Right.
One thing I wanted to talk about is this ANS integration. That's what I'm calling it. Dr. Joe has this period of, all right, lay down and allow what has happened to you to become integrated within your physical body. And so after I do my PG and the oming, I lay down and I have this period of time, however long I still have left before I have to get into the day. And I allow that time to carry me away. Do you do that?
I do. I like to give time for the Om technique after the PG gland technique, just to bring back into calm and focus and into an empty space feeling, a connection. But then all of that has to be integrated into what I've done today, integrated into the body so that we start at a new level the next time around. So I give it as much time that is left. Sometimes it's an hour and sometimes it's 30 minutes. It depends, but I usually try to get in by 3:00. Just doing that ANS is extremely important because it allows us to do something with that visualization. I know that you don't always get to float away. We don't always rest and relax, but you can use that time as well to do a visualization. I was watching Walter Henry on Gaia the other day, and they were talking about sacred art. And it occurred to me that Hermetic principle that he's talking about, the principle of correspondence, so the one that says, as above, so below, that he's talking about how that vibration of the being is actually, and for what he was talking about sacred art, the garments that they were wearing, or the people that were being painted and manifested, but actually their energy was coming through the painting. We could also make the suggestion that it's not just the energy of the being, it's also the energy of the visualization that we're creating in our own brains. It's an intention, and we're asking it to become a portal to the infinite, to connect us out into the quantum. When we're doing that ANS, relax, rest, and restore, you could also bring to mind something that is either sacred to you or special to you, or something that you want to intend about creating, if you will, and to use that time to create a bridge or connection, a portal, if you will, to the quantum with that intention.
Wow. And that is so cool because I remember this week specifically feeling that lack of floating away and thinking, okay, I'm just going to take this time and think or intend or visualize in my mind's eye a picture of Yogananda. Yogananda is an illumined being, much like one would look at any kind of sacred art, if what you're talking about with Walter Henry's work.
Yeah.
You can look at anything that is sacred that you might visualize. So I was visualizing this, and that too creates, as what you're saying, a connection with a energy that lives and breathes in 5D as opposed to 3D.
And so it's your intention to make that connection that is creating the bridge. And Dr. Joe always says you have to have this visualization, but you have to intend to have it happen. And then the emotion of gratitude or love supports that happening. And it's a sacred object, one which you feel devoted to. So there is that emotion that goes along with it. But the intention is really important in order to open the portal to making that connection. And that is, of course, what we provide as humans. That's my part of the equation, right? I'm providing that intention because I want to connect with something sacred. And then the sacred connects with me when the frequency matches my intention. Exactly. So that's a great way to end the week. To wrap it up really quick, I forgot
Actually, it's that toroidal field generation. We'll get to that next week. Pretty much it's been a holding pattern of learning and deepening sub-levels of understanding. And you?
And I recognize that the frequency, the gamma sprites, are not just in my head, that they are reaching all the way down my spine and through my legs and down to my toes. And that's an interesting learning too, that all of this, all of the process is affecting every one of our millions of cells. Some more slowly than others, but it is affecting them. It's just because our awareness of it, it's not big jumps all the time. They're small jumps, and then we'll make change.
Okay. Another great week.
Looking forward to number 9.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. That way you'll be notified every time we upload a new segment in our 12-week Inspire Volume 1 video journal series. If you'd like to start your own journey, you can purchase Dr. Joe's Inspire Volume 1 10 Tracks to Master the Breath album using the direct link in the description. Happy breathing!